say this meeting of the Eau Claire City Council will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Berge.
Here.
Brewster.
Here.
Belton. Johnson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Imboga. Miller.
Here.
Schoen.
Here.
Serrano.
Here.
Worthman.
Here.
Thank you. So welcome to the Tuesday, March 11th meeting of the Eau Claire City Council. I'm just going to remind council members to use your microphones, but also to speak up so that our colleagues who are joining us virtually can hear us. And also reminding us that we're trying to stick to 2 speaking turns per item when we can. So we're going to try to do that today. And let's see, I wanted also to remind, so we have 2 council members joining us virtually. We have Council President Berge and Councilmember Imboga, who are in DC at the National League of Cities Conference and are advocating for the needs of our community with our elected officials. And so I'm super grateful that they're there and happy they can join us virtually, and it might be a little bit experimental to get this to work, but we can see President Berge on the screens. A reminder to colleagues that are joining virtually that if you go to the calendar invitation for this event, you can see the slides. So they're posted there if you want to look at the slides that are being presented. And we can see you, and we can also see the slides at the same time on the screens here. Okay, so the first item on our agenda is the consent agenda, and some of you here might be here for a consent agenda item. Please know that unless an item is pulled out, all of the items will pass or fail with just 1 vote, so we'll vote on everything at once. Do any council members have questions regarding the consent agenda or wish to remove any items for separate consideration? Then on a motion by Councilmember Serrano and seconded by Councilmember Worthman, the consent agenda has been moved. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously. Okay, now we're moving on to our business agenda. The first item on our business agenda is a motion to reconsider a resolution authorizing the Community Services Department to accept a donation from Festival Foods for the July 4th fireworks displays in 2025, 2026, and 2027. Councilmember Miller is bringing this forward. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
First of all, I was going to see if I can move to postpone this until the end of the agenda item. We are missing 1 council member, and I would like to try to wait until then. So if we could move it to the last item of the agenda, would that be possible?
I think so, and that's something I can just do as the chair. Move it to the end. Move it to the end. Is that correct? Okay, we'll move this to the end and consider it as our final agenda item. So the next item on our agenda is essential programs protection. It's a resolution urging Congress to protect essential programs by rejecting dramatic cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and Social Security. This is being brought forward by council members Worthman and Jones. Do either of you have anything you'd like to say about this?
Sure. Thank you, Council Vice President Anderson. I spoke a little bit about this last night, but I want to reiterate. We've been getting public comment through our email. We had people share their stories last night. And I think I keep coming back to this basic fact, which is that if Congress, which they have not finally decided to do, but they are considering, if Congress goes through with cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, or Social Security benefits in their reconciliation budget, we can guarantee that there will be an impact to our local residents, the folks who sent us here to serve. And in some way, I can tell you that that will mean we pick up the pieces as families are looking for assistance, either through nutrition or through housing or through other means. But we will ultimately be a part of supporting our residents regardless of what happens. I want to point out a second thing, which is the fact that when HSHS left our community, as we all know, they were one of the hospitals that took probably the most Medicare, Medicaid folks at their facility. And now that they have left, there is that additional burden for healthcare access that exists in our community. And if Congress goes ahead and cuts some of these programs, that will create an even more challenge. That will create even more challenge for people who need those healthcare services. So these things are connected. And again, I want to remind all of the people who contacted us over the last couple days that this is not a certainty, that there is still time to have your voice heard and to ask your members of Congress to oppose cuts to these vital services. And at the same time, I think we have to do our due diligence as a city council to speak on what is an issue of national importance, but also local importance. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
This should be in a motion by council members Worthman and Jones because, yep. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Brewster.
Thank you, Acting Council President Anderson. I just wanted to add a couple things to, the economic situation that Councilmember Worthman laid out in that. So one of the things that Medicare and Medicaid do is they actually save hospitals money by allowing people to come in and get preventative treatment and things like that before diseases get to and situations get to crisis levels. Then where if that didn't exist and people are only coming in like after they've had a heart attack and things like that, these institutions that are already not doing great financially are going to be hit even harder, and we could potentially see even more hospital and clinic closures in the area if we're unable to deal with that. I very much support this, both from a fiscal health for our medical institutions as well as just quality of life for our citizens. And it's not super often that those two things are in alignment, and so I think this is one of those times that we need to support this. So thank you, and I yield.
Thank you. Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council Vice President. I just want to speak a little bit to the history of these programs that we're here to talk about supporting here today. These programs, Medicare, Medicaid, and what's become SNAP, has their origins in LBJ's War on Poverty and part of his Great Society reforms. And part of that were things that were meant to end poverty, reduce crime, and improve the environment, things that actually make America great. And they did. At the time, over a fifth of Americans lived in poverty, and it was considered a national crisis at the time. And they set up on a goal to eliminate poverty. And from 1963 to 1970, the number of Americans in poverty due to these programs decreased from 22% down to 12%. I mean, that's an amazing impact, nearly reduced by half. Since this time, some of these have been eroded away, but still today, roughly only about 12-15% of Americans, depending on how they count, live in what is defined as poverty. And these programs have been around for 60 years, and to be looking at such massive cuts today after 60 years, generations of keeping Americans out of poverty, it's abhorrent. Our national government was founded on the basis of promoting the general welfare, and we should continue to do so. So I thank Council Members Worthman and Jones for bringing this here forward today for this resolution. I fully support it.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you.
other speakers have already spoken on the local impact that this will have and the economic consequences. One area that I just wanted to provide my opinion on is I think that it really highlights the importance here of like bipartisan support in the sense that, you know, ensuring that we're keeping seniors out of poverty and allowing families to put food on tables is not a partisan issue. This is really all about protecting our community. And I think what I would like to highlight and ask is that, because as it was mentioned that there could be some like speed with which this passes through Congress, is I was considering offering a friendly, but I would just request that underneath the relevant stakeholders aspect of the finally resolved clause, that this is sent out to other city councils across the state of Wisconsin so that they are encouraged to pass a resolution similar to this or of their own that they can then send to their own congressional representatives. I know that we will be sending it to the congressional delegation of Wisconsin, but I think it would carry additional weight if statewide councils send something similar along. So I am in full support of this resolution. I would just ask that that might be something that is considered after this hopefully passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Serrano.
Thank you, Council President, Vice President Anderson. Just one more, and agree with all the other comments that have been raised already, but in particular, I just want to remind people that many of our retired folks and seniors have been paying into the Medicare system through their employment situations for decades with sort of a promise of having some amount of retirement insurance. And to cut that after people have already been sort of counting on that is unconscionable to me. So I wanted to raise that. I also want to just appreciate the folks that came to speak last night in person on this topic and the personal impact, just the personal stories, the courage it takes to get up and talk about that very publicly, and also give voice to the many folks that have written to us in the last couple of weeks regarding this issue. So I'm really grateful for everybody for using our voices, and we as a council have an opportunity to have a voice in Wisconsin and to, you know, demand of our elected officials that they truly represent the needs of our state. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? I'll just thank the movers for bringing this forward. One thing I wanted to mention is the district that I represent, there are many people who are senior citizens. Something that I think I would like more people to be aware of or be thinking about is that I believe the majority of folks who are in nursing home care, their bills to their nursing home are paid through Medicaid. So what if you're in a nursing home and there's no more Medicaid funding for you? What happens to you? And then what happens to the nursing home facilities that we rely on to care for all of our loved ones when they are very ill or when they are older? If those close, I don't know, that's something that really keeps me up at night. So I just really appreciate the conversation and the opportunity to support this and make it very clear to our representatives in Washington that we want to take care of everybody in this community. With all of that, if the city clerk could please call the roll.
Vice President Anderson?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
No, I don't know how, I'm just going to, if I could say it, could I say something?
Please do.
Okay. I also want to thank the movers and the second Councilmember Worthman and Councilmember Jones for bringing this forward. I also always like when we talk about health care and Medicaid that remember about that includes mental health care. And then we know that's just as important as physical health care, and if Medicaid were to be cut, and people wouldn't get those needs met either, which also interlinks with physical health. It's all connected. So just the mental health. And then also, if this passes, I can talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to the Hill, Capitol, to talk to our delegation, and I can bring this up to them and just, I won't have it printed. That'll be hard to do, but I can talk about it and I can bring it to them directly. So in a way, this is good timing that I'm in D.C. right now and can talk about them in person when I meet with the Congress representatives and senators and then their staff. So I'll be supporting this.
Thank you so much, Council President Berge. If that's everything, if the clerk could please call the roll. Yeah, okay. Thank you for checking, because I'm not quite sure what to look for, so thank you. Councilmember Brewster, did you? Oh, just ready.
Just getting ready.
All right.
Getting ready to support.
Councilmember Berge.
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye. And that passes unanimously. All right, our next item is a plat approval, a resolution approving the Wild Turkey Ridge plat within the extraterritorial jurisdiction in the town of Pleasant Valley located on Stonebrook Drive. And thank you, Mr. White.
Good evening, Vice President Anderson and council members. What we have for you tonight is a final plat approval for a development, Wild Turkey Ridge. This is located in the town of Pleasant Valley, but it falls within our extraterritorial jurisdiction, so it still comes before city council approval. This is a 21 lot plat with an extra outlot. It is at a density of one single family home to 2 acres. It also resides fully outside of our sewer service area boundary. The density that's shown in this plat is consistent with our extraterritorial jurisdictional agreement, and it is consistent with the preliminary plat that was initially submitted. So it is conforming in all aspects. As this is a final plat, it does get approved regardless of our actions here. But just wanted to be able to present this to council as a representative of what we review regularly with the townships that are surrounding the community and how we work with them as they move forward with their own expansions. Be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Schoen.
Thank you, Council Vice President Anderson. I just wanted to ask quickly and maybe highlight for others. I know this is outside of our own city boundaries, but so I guess my question is, what do staff look for when you're reviewing these and presenting them to council? Is it something that we have any authority to request changes or any specific items of compliance that we're looking for when these come through to city staff?
Absolutely. So there are agreements that govern density. There are specific requirements for density, and when you look at these rural areas, so they're looking at appropriateness of that. If it's spaces, if it's a development that is within reasonable service of the city or within our sewer service area, then there's opportunities to oppose that because it's a space that's likely or could very well see service from the community. But that's the type of basic review. We get a lot of these. Most of the times they go forward as presented because they're far enough out or certain topography or whatnot says that it would be extremely difficult to ultimately provide city services to these parcels.
And Councilmember Brewster.
Thank you. I was just wondering, with regards to developments like this, what sort of naming conventions, like where does that come from? Because, like, I'm assuming it comes from the developer, but like,
Correct.
I mean, we could just call it like Famous Grouse Ridge or
Correct.
something like that. I just,
Yeah, I'm not sure what drives. I'm not sure what drives their
the name is a
naming
little bit
choices.
bizarre to me. So anyway,
Yeah. As a bourbon connoisseur, I recognize what that name represents, but I'm not sure what chose them to select that name.
okay, but that's not something we have any control over.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Any other questions? Oh, yes, Attorney Nick.
I just wanted to expand a little bit on what Director White correctly indicated, but give you a little more background on why. The statutory ability is out to 3 miles from our borders to have the authority to review plats, which could include the ability to turn them down, whether they're within our sewer service area or not, whether they're reasonably likely to annex into our city in the coming years or not, which as a growing city is always a moving and changing issue. So over 10 years ago, cities and all of our surrounding towns entered into a cooperative agreement where we both compromised, and the city agreed to take less oversight over properties like this that are coming forward in a more rural development pattern on private sewer and water, and allow larger lot developments, which are, are consume a greater amount of land that could be put to other uses, whether it was agricultural or, again, other purposes. And in exchange, all the towns agreed that the city should have greater oversight over those properties, those lands that are not within the city of Eau Claire, but are in its expected growth perimeter, are within the sewer service area or thereabouts. And the sewer service area is under review right now. It's required to be updated at least every 5 years, and we're 3 times that delayed, so I think it's 17 years and counting. Just know that compromise was struck, and so projects like this are then allowed to move forward that are further away from our city and urbanized boundary, and those areas that are expected to be within sewer service area, meaning that can be served by public water and utilities and more urbanized services at a higher density. But the corresponding is true as well, and all those towns agreed to that, and that agreement still is in place and binding upon the entire community.
Thank you. Any questions? I don't see any.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then on a motion by Councilmember Brewster and Councilmember Jones, this item is moved. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Schoen.
Thank you, Council Vice President Anderson. I just wanted to take a moment to say I will be supporting this resolution, but wanted to highlight the fact that this proposed development is adjacent directly to Lowe's Creek, which is a navigable waterway. In the state of Wisconsin, navigable waterways are held in public trust, and we all have shared public right to access them. And so one of the things I always look for when I'm seeing these types of proposed developments is ensuring perpetual access for the public to that waterway. And so I just wanted to highlight for everyone that this development does include a 60-foot wide strip dedicated to the public for creek access at the northernmost, if I'm oriented correctly, portion of the development. And just really appreciate that this proposal came through with that reflected that way, because I've certainly seen developments proposed where that was not included, and we've had to fight for that, and despite it being protected right that all citizens of Wisconsin share. So I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Jones, Miller,
Aye.
Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman, Anderson,
Aye.
Berge.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the final resolution approving the project and levying special assessments for street and utility improvements on Birch Street. It looks like we have Ms. Ness. If you
Good afternoon. Before I get into giving more details on Birch Street, I did want to just take a couple minutes to acknowledge the engineering staff that have worked very hard on putting all this information together for council and for the citizens related to the capital improvement projects that have been brought forward to you in the last couple of months. We have 2 primary engineers, 3 engineering trainings, 3 technicians, administrative staff, survey staff, GIS staff that all start working on these projects actually the middle of the prior year to bring them forward to you guys during December, January, and February, and the early months prior to finalizing the designs and getting them out to bid, and then entering into the construction project. So a lot of time and effort goes into these, and I just wanted to acknowledge that there's a lot of staff time that goes into them, a lot of work and thoughtfulness into the design and the presentation, and I get the opportunity to present these to you, but it's really a lot of background information that staff has provided to me. So thank you to them for all the work that goes into presenting these. With that, Birch Street from Franklin Street to Bergen Avenue, I wanted to just give a little refresher on what the project entails. Birch Street is classified as a minor arterial street. It's a primary access to the downtown as well as to the North Side Hill residential and neighborhood businesses. Mount Tom is located along Birch Street along with Longfellow Elementary School. There's a church, there's multiple bus stops. McDonough Park is located to the north of Birch Street. So that's taken into consideration with the crossing needs and the design of the project being presented. The existing right-of-way is 66 feet, and the existing street surface is 36 feet face-to-face of curb with a two-way left turn lane for the majority of the project. The boulevard is typically 7 to 8 feet and then 5 feet of sidewalk on each side. So if you're adding that up, that's about 62 feet used within the 66 feet of right-of-way. The utilities in this section of Birch Street are good and are proposed for minor adjustments. So we will not be proposing utility replacements, so not doing the deep digging to do that replacement, just minor adjustments to those utilities. The existing street has integral curb and gutter, so it was all poured as one concrete slab. The curb and gutter are not separate from the driving lane of traffic. So that's unique to Birch Street, and that is something that we are proposing to remove in its entirety and replace the curb and gutter in the same location so we can maintain the existing stormwater utility. So therefore, we are proposing the same street width at 36 feet face-to-face. So at the February 10th public hearing, we heard concerns about speeding, crossing north and south between the neighborhood, lighting, and really safety traffic calming measures along the corridor. The Neighborhood Association had provided us with a wish list of multiple projects, but incorporated into that document were specific items along the Birch Street corridor and the Germania Street. Some items are outside of the proposed project, but some are within that we can address. One specifically identified was speeding from Bergen Avenue to Fall Street, and that's highlighted on the screen or this slide. Other items identified within that document were lighting for pedestrian crossings being a concern, specifically at night and near the gas station, with the gas station lighting and the intersection lighting being different. So that was an area that they asked us to look into further. Overall, at the last meeting, council gave direction to engineering to do research on traffic calming measures which could be incorporated into an arterial roadway to help address the concerns that were brought forward by the citizens at the meeting and within this North Side Hill neighborhood plan. So that's what we did moving forward here. I'll go to the next slide to kind of review what we found. A little more background on Birch Street. The existing volumes that have been measured out there today are 10 to 12,000 vehicles a day on the arterial system. Looking into different types of intersection treatments for traffic calming measures as identified by the Federal Highway Administration. Raised crossing options would be speed tables or tabletop intersections. Those are recommended on roadways that have less than 9,000 vehicles per day. So we did look into that. It's not recommended for a Birch Street type corridor, but potentially other corridors within the city. They may be used for traffic calming measures in the future. Additionally, curb extensions or bump outs were looked at, and as discussed earlier, with the holding the street width to the existing utility, we could make some minor adjustments with the curbing to have these bump outs, but then that impacts the lane continuity throughout the project. So it'd be shifting the travel lanes either north or south and not meeting driver expectations. So we've made a couple different adjustments that I'll present to you in the slides moving forward related to that, holding that curb to that 36 feet face to face. Pedestrian refuge islands. We have a couple proposed moving forward. There was one existing at the Balcom intersection where the students cross to Longfellow Elementary School. And those typically help slow traffic with a narrowed cross-section for vehicles, and also a resting stop for pedestrians if needed. It's also a good placement for signage, and it provides better visibility of that signage within the middle of the roadway for both pedestrians and for motorists. Crosswalk signage is another area that we could improve or add to the plan. In the lower part of the screen, you can see an example of chevrons being added prior to a crosswalk. It's using a high visibility black crosswalk, which was proposed within the crossing locations. Being brought forward to you today is the rapid rectangular flashing beacons, or the RRFBs. We have examples of those at Earl Street on Farwell, Jefferson Street on Harding Hill. So a couple different locations throughout the community, and have seen success with those treatments. They are pedestrian push button activated. And then crosswalk enhancements too could be increased lighting at those crossing locations. There is one existing speed feedback sign for westbound traffic that's kind of close to the school right now. We're recommending maintaining speed feedback signs in the westbound direction, but pushing it further away from the school, and placing a new speed feedback sign. And then additionally adding one for eastbound traffic near the start of the project. We'll look at the visibility of signage related to existing trees that are within the boulevard and place those speed feedback signs appropriately, along with the advanced school zone signage and related school zone signage. And lastly, that lane designation changes related to the east end of the project where there were speeding concerns. In that area, existing is 2 eastbound lanes and 1 westbound lane. That two-way left turn lane doesn't continue through that section, so we're recommending extending the turn lane to the east end of the project, so it's not 2 full lanes eastbound and 1 westbound. We'd have 1 in each direction with the ability of the turn lane, so that will potentially slow traffic through that area. So we'll get into kind of the differences that are being proposed from what was originally brought forward to council. On the top is the initial layout, and then the enhanced design with the recommendations as being shown on the bottom of the screen. Here you can see the differences at the beginning of the project at Franklin Street, where We've added an RRFB. There's added chevrons prior to the crosswalk in the westbound direction. And then we're maintaining that black crosswalk for high visibility at that location. We maintain the two-way left turn lane going forward. And in this section, there were no changes, but as mentioned, we do recommend implementing that speed feedback sign between Cochrane and Center Streets. So that's kind of in this area. Cochrane is the intersection that's about mid-screen there. Moving on to the changes here. Let's see. We're at Belcom Street, so we're Longfellow Elementary is on the south side of the screen. Belcom, you can see the existing median that was proposed to be replaced on the initial design layout. On the southern, or on the lower enhanced design layout, there is additional pavement marking indicating the noses. One thing with the median islands, they do become challenging in winter months with snow removal. So we're looking at designing those to be a little more snowplow friendly, having sloped noses, and then also painting those noses for visibility, not just for the snowplow drivers, but also for motor vehicle traffic, and that being a refuge area potentially if needed. So the design of the median will be a little different than what you see out there today. For the eastbound traffic, you can see those chevrons have been added for a stop bar line. For the related to the RFBs, when they're activated or when there's a pedestrian within the crosswalk, we maintained the high visibility crosswalk at that location. There is not a crosswalk painted on the east side of this intersection because we really are trying to direct pedestrians and users to use the RRFBs and use that controlled crossing that they will be more visible at and expected at. This is really, we had a little bit of a scale change when we did our screenshots. So we're maintaining the two-way left turn lane through here. And then I'm meeting up at Churchill intersection. With this slide, we've added a median on the west side of Churchill, and we propose the west side of this intersection to maintain that westbound traffic flow to the downtown. Going eastbound, it would limit the left turn to go north on Churchill Street. So that is something that we'll want to talk through with the neighborhood. And also, we have contracted with West Central Wisconsin Regional Plan Commission to do new traffic counts at 5 locations throughout the project. The 3 proposed crossing intersections, and then McDonough and Putnam locations, which are identified crossing locations that the neighborhood had brought forward. So based on those counts, we would adjust the location of the crossings or potentially just add static pedestrian signs and high visibility crosswalks at those locations, additional lighting, looking at pedestrian crossing features at those intersections based on the data that we received back from those counts. So at the Churchill intersection, we are proposing that median on the west leg, and again, the chevrons, the additional signage, and RFB at that location as well. And the pavement marking has changed from what was originally proposed. Moving further to the east, we're maintaining the two-way left turn lane. It's hard to see on the monitor, but previously at the Deo intersection, there was a left turn lane that was dedicated there. We are proposing to keep that two-way left turn lane through that intersection, and then moving further to the east, as I had mentioned, to help with the speeds, keeping that two-way left turn lane instead of the two eastbound lanes that were dedicated with the existing design. So here you can see the Deo intersection a little better with the left turn lane to go north on it. On the upper side of the screen, you can see those two eastbound lanes and the one westbound lane. This really maintains a turn lane in the middle and a single lane in each direction. And then, just as a carryover slide, Birch Street is proposed to be closed during construction. We'll have 2 phases, looking at different detours, and this has remained the same as what was originally presented. With that, I can take questions.
Councilmember Brewster.
Thank you. So the feedback sign, that's the one where it tells you how fast you're going, right?
Correct. A speed feedback sign would tell you how fast.
Yeah, how effective are those actually? Like, do we have data on whether or not that actually encourages people to slow down? I think when they first appeared in Eau Claire and people thought they were maybe on camera, it maybe worked a little bit better. And now I see people just ignoring them, like down the Brackett Hill, for example. And so I'm just wondering how, if we have data on how effective those are.
So, as a part of the design changes and the signage recommendations and potentially looking at the speed through the area, I think there's always education, there's enforcement, there's the engineering, there's multiple factors that go into that. So we don't have connectivity with those signs to provide feedback. That's something that we could do. It's another item to monitor and another software program to maintain, so we haven't. We started to initially with those signs, but we found that we don't have the staffing to do the monitoring of that, so we haven't maintained that. I think it does bring acknowledgement to the motorist out there, and people are consciously making a decision based off of that feedback. And then I would think it's more of an education and enforcement side related to that. I think as we move forward with this project as well, one of the questions that was brought forward from the neighborhood president was, are we looking at maintaining the 30 miles per hour speed limit through here, or can we reduce that? Once we build the project, we can do a speed study again to follow up with that. It's a separate ordinance change, and we have to complete a speed study to support that speed limit change recommendation. So I think that's kind of a step moving forward. And it could be that we wait on the speed feedback signs too. It could be, a phase 2 of the project, see how it's going, and then implement those. But we have had, I would say initially, as you had mentioned, we saw a good response to the placement of those feedback signs, and I also do get common calls when the feedback signs are not working properly that, hey, we're not seeing the speed limit on these, can you check them? So.
Quick follow-up. The other thing I was wondering about on there is I noticed there's some intersections that it didn't look like they were gonna have crosswalks on them at all. Is that like for crossing Birch? And I can understand the desire to move, like encourage pedestrians to move towards the intersections that have, you know, more safety features. But like if you're trying to get across the street to your friend's house, you're not gonna walk down 2 blocks, cross at a safer place, and then walk back 2 blocks. I mean, you see that at like the Lincoln Avenue cross on campus, and that's this way versus this way, right? And people are just gonna go where they're going. And I guess I'm wondering if it would be possible to put the crosswalks in there just so if a pedestrian does get hit, they at least have the capacity to be like, hey, you hit me in a crosswalk, kind of thing.
If a crosswalk is marked or unmarked, it's still a crosswalk because we have the curb ramps there.
Okay.
So it is a crosswalk. For maintenance reasons, we've been trying to really identify the high crossing locations to place the high visibility crosswalks at. I want to say the last estimate that we had was about $500 per high visibility crosswalk to place those. So to maintain those moving forward is a high maintenance budget. We try to do the high visibility crosswalks at all safe routes to school crossings and uncontrolled crossings, but really try to direct pedestrians to the safest crossings. So on the east end of this project, there's a traffic signal just to the east at Star. So that would be the safest controlled crossing on the east end. Otherwise, we did try to space out the RRFBs throughout the project, but there's nothing saying that someone can't cross at any of the other crosswalks or cross streets.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your department's work on this.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Director Ness, I just want to thank you for all of your work in your department who back you up. There's a lot of improvements on this, and so I want to first and foremost just thank you for kind of thinking through what the different options are, bringing this back to us in an incredibly timely manner. I did want to ask clarification on something that you said about the placement of the RRFBs. And this is in the context of an email that I got from a former council person and advocate around bicycling, and that is that the bicycle map shows that the Putnam intersection is one of the main intersections for the bicycle map crossing, and currently, as I understand the bicycle map, it says this is a very difficult, challenging place to cross if you're a cyclist. And so, given that, and given that there's a bus stop in that location, it sounded to me like it wasn't firm that Franklin was 100% going to be the location of that in fact, once you do some more study, potentially Putnam could become the placement of a RFB and enhanced crossing. Did I hear that right in terms of like the placement of these?
Yes, that's correct. So we have identified 3 locations for RFBs throughout the project. And then we had feedback from the neighborhood and others of additional crossing locations at Putnam and McDonough. So based on the data that we received back from West Central Wisconsin with their traffic counts, that will tell us where we're seeing the most pedestrian crossings and where the treatments would make the most sense. So then we'd propose those moving to the appropriate locations based off of that data.
So if I could ask a follow-up, I understand that process in collecting data. I think the one thing that would come to my mind is concern that if you're a cyclist, you may be avoiding that intersection altogether right now because it's maybe an unsafe place. So maybe they do a study for a week and they find one person tried to cross, but that might also just tell us that it's not great place to safely cross.
Correct. Yep, we can take that into consideration when we're looking at these locations as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
And Councilmember Miller?
Thank you, Council Vice President. I thank you, Director Ness, for all the work you mentioned earlier that your staff has done to bring these revisions to council. I just had a question about something you mentioned earlier, and it looks like these weren't incorporated, but just a little more information about curb extensions, and you talk about how it affects lane continuity and driver expectations. Can you elaborate on that a little bit about driver expectations? Because, I mean, I'm guessing, well, you can tell me in a second, but I'm guessing, drivers expect straight lanes down the road, nothing jogging and around, but I also know that those are traffic calming factors. When the drivers need to slow down to navigate a change in lanes, that calms traffic, and that seems to be advantageous. I guess there's a tipping point, balancing point between traffic calming and drivers driving on a street that they can navigate. Can you just kind of elaborate a little bit on why that was not looked at and what you mean by driver expectations?
Yeah, so with this project, I'm going to go to the east end really here. You can see that the lane shift as you go on the initial layout, or what's existing out there, is the lane really shifts with a turn lane on the left side of your screen as you go to the west. I think we're meeting driver expectations with carrying that two-way left turn lane all the way through the project. People are used to having two-way left turn lanes in Eau Claire. They're on multiple streets throughout the community. But the adding the bump outs in would eliminate a lane totally. And then we would have eastbound and westbound traffic with really wide lanes potentially in between. And we'd actually have to move either paint it with an edge line to have that curb go back to the existing stormwater inlets, or we'd have to move all those inlets in to make that roadway narrower. So it's challenging with the limited utility changes that were being proposed with the project to incorporate those bump outs. I think we're still meeting the driver expectations with the through lanes and the layout of how the pavement would be marked and maintaining the curb edges with what's being proposed. I'd agree that shifting does calm the traffic. In this situation, I'm thinking that by not having such a large area going eastbound with two lanes, people able to be passing each other, maintaining them in a single lane to move eastbound unless they are making that turning movement will really help slow traffic down in that eastbound direction.
Okay, thanks for going into that a little bit.
Any other questions? I think you,
One more, just that if we had a preference, would it make any sense to share a preference if we thought that Putnam was a better location than Franklin for the RFP, or is that not helpful?
I'm open to preferences. I think that data definitely needs to help support the location as well, though.
and Councilmember Brewster, do you have another question?
Yeah, if we're potentially open to having that at one location or another based on data, when things are opened up and you're wiring the intersections to potentially have that, are you going to wire both of them just in case, or how does that work? Because I imagine otherwise you'd have to bust things up again if the decision was made to put it at a different location.
So actually the RFBs are all solar and they talk wirelessly, so we don't need to worry about conduit underneath the street. So the only thing that we would potentially look at for lighting or potential conduit sleeves is if we are going to do some type of more pedestrian scale lighting in the future, we can lay some conduit underneath while the roadway is opened up to accommodate some of that future pedestrian lighting if needed.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation.
You're welcome.
And this item is moved by Councilmember Schoen and Councilmember Johnson. Is there any discussion? Yeah, it's Councilmember Worthman. Oh,
Chasko.
would you, sorry, it's just right, I can't see.
Thank you, Council Vice President Anderson. I just wanted to share that I will be supporting this resolution. I'm really pleased and want to thank city staff for all the extra work they did on this, including the additional engagement they did with Northside Hill Neighborhood Association. I'll share that a very small piece of Northside Hill neighborhood is in my district, and so I've been really pleased to see the way that neighborhood association has grown and become really vibrant and very active and engaged. And so it's really great to see sort of that level of engagement met with the same level of engagement and receptiveness by city staff in these types of projects. And so I just want to take a moment to say that. And then lastly, as part of this is, this neighborhood is part of my district, I was contacted very quickly after I was, initially joined council, specifically about the speed limit signs, and the neighborhood association specifically was concerned when that speed limit sign was not operational, and they were really pretty adamant that that get addressed. And so I anticipate, and based on other conversations I've had with them, that they'll be really excited that there will not only be one being replaced, but another one being added. So I just wanted to share that in response to some of the other questions that council members had previously. Thank you again.
Councilmember Worthman.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I also want to echo thanks for our Director Ness and our engineers for thinking creatively about how to improve this. I do think that these changes are going to improve the safety of the crossings all the way along Birch Street. So I'm really pleased by that. I think the details about where these things are placed are going to matter, and I hope that Putnam is one of those considerations. Two things I want to bring to folks' attention. One is I appreciate that city engineers looked at the idea of speed bumps or raised crosswalks. There's been, I don't believe that there has been maybe one placed in the last decade in our community, and it's something that I would like to see us consider more of. Communities like Minneapolis have them throughout their neighborhoods to help traffic calming. As was written on here in our explanation, if you have more than 9,000 cars a day and it's over 30 miles an hour, it doesn't make sense to put in speed bumps. But in other locations that are, I would say, more arterials within neighborhoods, I think it could make some sense. And I hope we continue to kind of think through where to potentially place speed bumps. I understand they are not the favorite for people driving snowplows, but given that we have 6 to 8 snowplow events in a year and 365 years where a speed bump would be helping to slow traffic, I hope that we continue to consider speed bumps as an option. Lastly is the speed limit piece. I want to keep the conversation with the neighborhood going. I think what often happens is a speed limit gets posted. I drive this road a lot. Speed limit gets posted 30 miles an hour. People go 34, 35, 36. Sometimes people go close to 40. And the hope is that if you lower it to 25, it's probably mostly going to be people going 30. And so in some way, I want to keep that conversation going, especially after this is constructed. Hopefully everyone just does the right thing and drives a good speed, but more often than not, they're on their phone and they're driving 7 miles faster than the posted speed limit. So I'm happy to support this, and again, thank Director Ness and everyone for bringing this project back to us with all of these improvements.
I just want to chime in and add my thanks to Director Ness, and thank you too for highlighting all the different staff members who contributed to this. Sometimes I think, we walk around the city, we're doing our business, we're busy, and we forget how much incredible effort was put in just to make the environment that's around us. And so I appreciate all that effort and all that work to make sure that this environment is as safe as it can be. So thank you so much. Dr. Jones, did you have something?
Thank you, Vice President. I never really fully appreciated or understood the magnitude of behavioral psychology that goes into your work, Director Ness. Seriously. We're talking about signage and all these markings that go on the road. There's a concept in behavioral psychology that's called stimulus control. And that is the presence or absence, right, of certain stimuli that controls, right, essentially our behavior. And so when I think about all of this, I never really fully appreciated just how under control we are by the work that you all do within your department. So kudos to you. I know that we talk about, Council Member, I'm drawing a blank, Brewster, excuse me, right, talked about one of the signs, I guess, kind of not working properly or something, right? Or the signage stopped working, or I can't remember exactly what. And I think it's important for us to remember that, these things, even though it may not be the exact number or speed or whatever it may be that we desire them to be, they still do have an effect, right? So to your point, Councilmember Wortman, right? Yeah, 30 miles per hour, right? People are going to continue to try to fudge the numbers, right? But in the absence of that sign, it's going to be even greater. So that's what brings us under stimulus control, right? 30 may not be the ideal number, but if you didn't have 30, you'll probably get 60, right? Seriously. And this is how it works. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's see, on a motion by Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Serrano. Oh, we already moved this. Sorry, guys. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Berge,
Aye.
Brewster.
Aye.
And that item passes unanimously. Next up on our agenda is a resolution ordering the repair and installation of citywide sidewalk and curb and gutter according to Section 66097 Wisconsin statutes at 25 locations, beginning with 420 Gilbert Avenue. And Director Ness, back again.
Yes, this is related to the citywide sidewalk improvement repair program, and if there's any questions from yesterday's presentation, I can take those.
Questions? I don't see any.
All right.
Thank you. So on a motion by Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Serrano, this item is moved. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman, Anderson,
Aye.
Berge,
Did you say Berge?
Berge,
Yep.
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Next up on our agenda is the resolution accepting the Stormwater 2024 Annual Report. And Director Ness.
All right, thank you again. This agenda item is a resolution accepting the municipal separate storm sewer system, that's the MS4 permit that is submitted to the DNR on an annual basis. And this really involves not just engineering, but community services. We work with the building inspectors, the finance department, legal, fire department, all of the different divisions to provide reporting data to the DNR related to our storm sewer system and keeping the water clean that's going into it. So I'd like to just kind of touch on the topics that we have to report on. One is construction site pollutant control, and erosion control is a main topic of discussion related to that. And you can see kind of some examples of erosion control in those three pictures on the left side of the screen. Some is good, some is not so great. But that's what we're out on site checking. We check those on plan sets prior to site plans going to Plan Commission, and we provide grading and drainage approval reports to contractors related to those. And then when either we're out on development sites doing inspections or our building inspectors are on site, they're checking into the erosion control measures that are being taken at those locations as well. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see some post-construction stormwater management, best management practices, and the one in the upper right-hand side is a rain garden located next to our parking ramp. So that was incorporated with the design to help remove particulates that come off of the sidewalk and then filter out and just allow the stormwater to go into our storm system. The lower left-hand corner is another example of the beginning stages of a rain garden that's located within the community. I lost control of the screen. If we go forward to the next slide, you can see a couple of the other areas that we have to report on are public education and outreach. So just recently, we had our deputy city engineer, Mr. Rinka, present stormwater erosion control measures to the Chippewa Valley Home Builders Association. They had a training that was going on. We work with Rain to Rivers and go to different events and hand out cups like these that are at your places within council, and just to provide information. So this is interesting, I think, and takes people by surprise for the most part, is that one of these cups, if you fill it with salt, should cover 10 squares of sidewalk. So you can see walking around town the amount of salt that is placed on sidewalks during the winter and the granulars that are left over after the ice and snow has melted, the excess of that salt that is being placed. So kind of a guide and a reference for people when placing salt. And we have those cups that we hand out at events throughout the community. We have them within City Hall, in the engineering department, if people are interested in them. And then it's not just the city of Eau Claire that's handing these out, it's all the communities that are a part of Rain to Rivers. And that's a group that we talk stormwater a lot. And the city of Altoona and Menominee and River Falls and Hudson and multiple townships are a part of this Rain to Rivers consortium. So we do a lot of outreach as group effort with them. Public involvement and participation is another tracking measure that we have to report on, and the amazing Eau Claire cleanup would be an example of that, and the hundreds to thousands of individuals that come and help pick up trash within the parks and along the streets and help clean your storm drain. Things like that are a part of that cleanup, and we can report for that within this MS4 report. We have pollution prevention for water quality. An example of that would be our stormwater ponds that we maintain within the city. We have 109 that are public stormwater ponds. This winter, with the low snowfall, we've been able to do a lot of maintenance on those ponds, which has been a surprise to some public members and not understanding that the function of what that pond is supposed to do, and that those ponds are holding stormwater, but they're also helping take out the particulates that are within the stormwater. So moving forward, we have stormwater pond projects where we'll be going in and dredging out those ponds so they can continue to operate in the manner that they're supposed to. We also report on stormwater quality management, and then we update maps and submit those to the DNR. So a lot of different reporting mechanisms that we have to include. A draft is included in the council packet, but then I wanted to provide kind of an update on, this is an annual event that we have to do. We were or went through annual, it's not an annual audit, but we are audited on a regular basis through the DNR and went through that process this last year. So we have goals that we are developing to move forward and to help meet our regulations and our compliance within MS4 moving forward. In 2025, we'll be requesting proposals for modeling of stormwater throughout the entire city. We are looking at ordinance changes to match DNR ordinances or regulations, and that's included with our zoning code update, and a lot of discussion has gone into that. And then additional education and outreach. So as I had mentioned, Mr. Rinka had presented just recently. Him and I also went to CVTC and talked to a structural architecture class that was doing a building design, but they had to incorporate a stormwater pond on their site, similar to if they were submitting a site plan to the city of Eau Claire. We walked through with them what we would be looking for and how they should look at designing their sites. So that was kind of fun to be able to get out and talk with the younger professionals that will be growing into the field and having to follow those guidelines. So if there's any questions related to the submittal, this is something that we submit towards the end of the month. So I wanted to have it at this council meeting, get approval. We'll continue to fill in kind of, there's missing sections within the draft that was included in the council packet, but I can always send that updated information out to council when that's filled in as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Serrano?
Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you so much, Director Ness, for all the background and all of these initiatives. I was, that last bit that you were talking about, I looked at what was in the packet and it looked very incomplete, and I was trying to understand what does it mean to accept this report in sort of this draft state. Sounds like we will be getting the complete report at the end of the month. Is there a reason why we're not looking at the complete report to accept? And I'm not entirely sure what it means for us to accept, if it's just a part of the process of saying we see this report. But I'm just curious why we wouldn't be receiving it when it was complete.
I wanted to get it on council earlier rather than later, so our staff is working to get the information put together. It's a report that is brought forward to council annually. Our numbers haven't changed very much from what was presented last year. We just need to input the information, but at the time that packet materials due, we didn't have all that information uploaded into the document at that point. We're close now, but I wanted to give ourselves time to make adjustments if you guys had questions or comments related to what's being presented or related to that report.
Other questions? I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so on a motion by Councilmember Worthman and Councilmember Brewster, this item is moved. Is there any discussion? All right, and I'm just noting that Councilmember Schoen has left the room and is abstaining from this vote. If the clerk could please call the roll.
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman.
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Berge,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Jones, and Boga.
Aye.
Great. And that item passes, yay, 9-0. And welcome, Councilmember Mboga. We're glad that you could join us. We're moving on to item 11, and then for the first item on our agenda, which is fireworks, we're doing at the very end of so it'll be the last thing that we're going to vote on. So we moved that just so our folks joining us in DC know.
Council Vice President, if I could, I assumed that it was the intention of the mover to move this within the business agenda. Is that correct?
That was correct.
Oh, apologies. Yes, so we can move that to this item. Okay, so we'll go back now to item number, the first item on our business agenda, item number 5, which is a motion to reconsider a resolution authorizing the Community Services Department to accept a donation from Festival Foods for the July 4th fireworks displays. And this is being brought forward by Councilmember Miller. Did you want to make some remarks?
Yes, thank you, Council Vice President. I'll just speak to why this is being brought back with a motion to reconsider. For a brief recap, last time we voted on this, there was some discussion, and then after the vote, it was 5 in favor and 4 against, but it actually required 6 to carry. And I had voted against it for 2 weeks ago for mainly 2 reasons. One, I remember when this came up a few years prior, we heard a lot of people in the community that were against the idea of the fireworks. And then secondly, every year we have budget constraints, and I was thinking about the cost to host the fireworks with the police and the fire departments doing extra staffing. But in the meantime, I decided to look at those 2 factors, the costs and the community wishes. And the costs, I actually checked with the finance director, and she stated that the cost of hosting the fireworks is only about $7,000 in extra police and fire department, which is not zero, but it seemed like that for an event that has citywide appeal, $7,000 for 4th of July celebration seems a reasonable cost to pay. And secondly, were the wishes of the community. When a few years ago we decided no longer to have these at Carson Park because of the risks involved, this council actually set up an ad hoc 4th of July celebration committee, and there was a poll sent out to the community, and 1,100 people responded, and of those, 80% were in favor of the fireworks. So we did hear from 20% that don't like it for very good various reasons, but when 80% of people are in favor of something, and it's not too difficult of a decision to have the fireworks, I think we should be able to support the will of the community with a vote in favor of this. So after examining the costs and revisiting the 4th of July celebration report, I decided to bring this back for reconsideration. I'll be supporting it this time around.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, so on a motion by Councilmember Miller and by Councilmember Jones, this item is moved. Is there any discussion? Oh, yes.
Just a point of order, that's a motion and second to reconsider. This motion needs to pass by a parliamentary majority, meaning a majority of those present and voting. If it passes, it's back in front of you for legislative action, at which point the resolution needs to pass by at least 6.
Okay, so we need to do this twice. Great. Councilmember Serrano?
Thank you, Council Vice President. Thank you, Councilmember Miller, for bringing this up again. I was also one of the 4 people who voted in opposition the last time this came up, and I have also given great reconsideration to that vote, and for a lot of the same reasons that Councilmember Miller has brought up, I am going to be voting in favor of this, accepting this donation from Festival Foods.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so all in favor of bringing this back for reconsideration. We can have the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano,
Aye.
Worthman,
No.
Anderson,
Aye.
Berge,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Imboga,
And
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
And that passes 8-1. I think I counted right. Okay, so now we can vote on the actual item, which is authorizing the Community Services Department to accept the donation from Festival Foods for the fireworks displays.
Council Vice President, I think that passed 9-1.
Thank you.
Clarification.
I appreciate that. 9-1. And so we can have that one. We'll need a mover and a seconder. So if we could have Councilmember Schoen and Councilmember Johnson move that item. Is that proper procedure for this one? All right. Is there any discussion? Yeah, Councilmember Worthman.
Thank you, Council Vice President Anderson. I appreciate the discussion on this. I understand fully that fireworks are popular in our community. I still feel it's important to stand up for probably what is a minority, but a minority of people who are deeply impacted by fireworks, who have expressed that to us, who have expressed the hurt that they feel in their family, with their pets, the concerns they have for the environment. Given all of that, I had actually asked for consideration, Festival Foods to consider a compromise on this, and two things that I saw. One was support for the additional expenses that we all pay for police and fire and EMS during this event, parks as well. Streets and parks, and covering those additional costs that the city incurs by this event. And number two was requesting that we either have quieter fireworks be used, or a smaller display similar to the one on New Year's Eve. I was informed that they flat denied, or they said that they would not accept a compromise. And so while I had asked, and I appreciate them considering it, it wasn't something that they would agree to. Given that, I still intend to vote no on this. I do think it's worth pointing out once again that probably the biggest problem we face in this community is illegal lighting off of fireworks. And one of the problems we have is that we don't necessarily have the staff and ability to enforce the laws that already exist in our community, because so much resources are spent on this event. And that's another reason why I wish we could have secured the additional $8,000 to $10,000 that it takes of city staff and personnel to do this event. We didn't get that done, but I want to thank our city staff for asking Festival of Foods if they would consider this compromise either way. And I'll continue to kind of voice the opinion of, I suppose, a minority of folks in our community, but one that I think is important.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. I just wanted to share why I'll be supporting this back on the agenda and going through. It seems like I've been on council for 3 years now. I think it's been a topic of discussion every year that I've been on fireworks. And I was able to sit on the ad hoc committee, and I do think it's important to point out that not often do we get to take a vote on an issue where we've been able to gather a lot of feedback from members of the community to kind of help that inform our decision, and especially this time around, it did show that a great majority were in favor of the fireworks. But another thing I'd like to point out, it's not often that you can make a vote on a specific area where there's additional feedback presented, and that's the thousands of people who show up for the event every summer, on top of the individuals who are responding to the survey. And I think 2 summers when we've had particularly unpleasant weather for the 4th of July and still great attendance and turnout, I think it shows an interest in the fireworks and an interest in the continuation of the celebratory nature of the fireworks on the 4th of July. So that's why I'll be supporting the resolution.
Thank you. And Councilmember Milner.
Thank you, Council Vice President. One thing the extra cost, I mean, that does, as I mentioned before, it still costs $7,000 for us to staff this. Nowhere in the resolution or nowhere could I see does it say how much Festival Foods actually pays for these fireworks for the 3 years that will be done by this resolution, I would urge the council in 3 years' time to, I don't have the appetite to try to, well, Councilmember Worthman already tried, and it did not work this year, but I would encourage council in 3 years when this comes up again to see about incorporating the costs associated with staffing that's also be included in the cost of doing the actual fireworks.
And Councilmember Show.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I want to just echo some of the same comments that Councilmember Johnson made. I think that when Council first considered this resolution 2 weeks ago, one of the things that I thought of was the ad hoc fireworks committee that had been compiled and the time that we had asked our community volunteers to spend on that committee, and the time taken to present those results and recommendations to council. And so I just felt really strongly that to be, I guess, respectful to the process that we honored previously, that it was really important that we take that into consideration when making this vote. But I do absolutely hear the concerns and very valid points raised by other council members related to the cost of staffing and the impacts to the community members that are opposed to this type of celebration. But I guess I just wanted to again highlight and express appreciation to those community members that did spend time on that ad hoc committee. I thought it was really valuable, and as Councilmember Johnson mentioned, it's not often that I think we have that type of information available to us when we're making this type of decision. So I will be supporting to accept the donation from Festival Foods, and I just wanted to share those comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if our colleagues attending virtually have any comments they want to add. Not.
Did you, Vice President Anderson, did you say?
Oh, yeah.
Are you opening up to?
Yeah, if you want to add anything, please do.
Actually, I would like to add, I agree that the illegal fireworks are an issue all throughout the city, and I do think having a set date and time will help damper those illegal ones that go off in the neighborhood. But also, just in more efforts to dampen the illegal fireworks, to use the neighborhood meetings. I know our police department, when I was going to more neighborhood meetings on the north side, they did a good job of showing up and just reminding people during the neighborhood meetings, neighborhood association meetings, what are the rules and what can and can't you do. And I guess if council members ever go to neighborhood association meetings leading up to July 4th, feel free to let the neighbors know too, and I think people appreciate just hearing it then as well. And maybe there's one person that fires them off, but hearing their neighbors say how they don't like being woken up, or they don't like their baby, just spend an hour putting your baby down to sleep, and then the fireworks wake up your baby at 11 o'clock at night, that's also not enjoyable. So just bringing it to the neighborhood to discuss is also a helpful way to decrease those illegal fireworks. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you. I don't know if Councilmember Mboga had anything to add. If not, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't know whether you guys can hear me with my accent.
Yeah.
I don't know. So for me, what I would say is that I've been knocking doors for the last 1 month, and every house I've gone, like in 90% they say they like fireworks. It's the time that they put their political difference apart. They come together and celebrate the independence of the United States. So they really would like to see fireworks, every 4th of July. That's my comment. That's what I got from the people I've talked to. And I appreciate, people understand, like Council Whitman, where it's coming from, but people were saying it's only 20 minutes. 20 minutes, for those people have, like dogs, I think they will be okay with this. Just 20 minutes to celebrate the independence. That's a comment, all comments I got from the people I talked to. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank staff and Festival Foods and this group of folks, all of us here together, for just our patience and willingness to entertain a longer conversation. One of the things that I want most from my elected officials at the state level and the federal level is a willingness to acknowledge that the issues that we deal with are complicated And sometimes it takes a little while to work through them, and it's not always easy. And I really respect people who can look at things from multiple sides and who can change their mind when the situation warrants it. So I just want to thank everybody here for the patience and flexibility and conversation. And if that's it, we can have the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Serrano,
Aye.
Workman,
No.
Anderson,
Aye.
Berkey,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Imboga,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Schoen.
Aye.
And that item passes 9-1. Our next section, we'll be looking at our ordinances for introduction. So we have 3 ordinances for introduction. I'll just read through those. The first one is an ordinance to rezone properties from TR1A to R1 and R2P located on Evergreen Terrace, west of South Lois Creek Road. The second is item number 12 is an ordinance annexing land to the city of Eau Claire located in the town of Seymour, Eau Claire County, as shown on planning drawing number 25-1A. Item number 13 is an ordinance amending Table 3 entitled Stop Intersections and Table 7 entitled Parking Prohibited of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Eau Claire, adjusting parking restrictions and incorporating additional stop sign traffic control. Does the council have any wish to suspend the rules and take up any of these ordinances? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our announcements and updates. Are there any announcements?
Thank you to the Vice President. You've done a great job. Just a few events. This Friday, there's an Eggs and Issues that will feature our zoning overhaul along with El Tunas as well. And a number of you are signed up, but if you still want to join and haven't signed up, yeah, I can sign you up. And then on March 27th, there's a league roundtable that will take place in Menominee, and a number of you went to, I think, Rice Lake last year and found it to be helpful. And we have our organizational meeting coming up on April 15th, and after that, we will have a celebration for Councilmember Jones and Felton, who will be transitioning off of the council, as well as our boards, commissions, and committees. And so you all can be thinking about, those of you who will continue to serve or may continue to serve, you can be thinking about what committees you want to serve on in the coming year. And finally, President Berge and I and all of you who are interested will be doing another round of community engagement. And so if you can help me think about what groups you might want to encourage to host a gathering for us to go out and talk, hear concerns, you can get in touch with me. And if for the district representatives, if you'd prefer to be the person reaching out to the your district groups, we could do that, or I can reach out. So I'll follow up with that as well.
Thank you so much. And after this, we do have a closed session. Does it make more sense to to make the motion to close session now and then take a little break? That's the way we usually do that? Or do we have a break and then make the motion to close session? Which should we do first? Closed session. Okay. Do we have a motion to go into closed session? Okay. A motion made by Councilors Brewster and Miller. There's a motion to go into closed session. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Wait, before, I'm sorry, point of information.
Yes. How are you guys going to do the closed session?
I think can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you.
Okay, so I think during our ordinance we passed for virtual meetings, I do not think I can join the closed session. And so with that, do I not maybe vote, or maybe it doesn't matter? Just looking for guidance on that. If I should vote to go into closed session, if I can't join the closed session. And same with Larry, or Councilor Imboga.
The vote to go into closed session is still an open session, so I think you have the ability to vote on it if you care to. And then my other point of order is that the notice for closed session has to be read before we vote on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So those who are attending virtual, Council President Berge and Councilmember Imboga, Again, you can choose to vote on it, or you can choose to just log off, but either way, following this vote, you must log off.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Upon a motion duly made and carried, the city council may go into closed session to consider negotiation terms for a renewed contract with Visit Eau Claire, which is permitted in closed session to confer with legal counsel and for competitive or bargaining reasons pursuant to statutes 19.85 and of the Wisconsin statutes. Okay, so if we could vote on that, if the clerk could call the roll.
Councilmember Worthman,
Aye.
Anderson,
Aye.
Berge,
Aye.
Brewster,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Imboga,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Schoen,
Aye.
Serrano.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously, so we're now going into closed session, and maybe we'll take a little bit of a break for about 5 minutes and then come back. Thank you so much to our virtual colleagues. I hope you're having a good time in DC, and it's really good to see you.
Yeah, and thank you to IT for helping
Thank
us
you. Oh my gosh,
troubleshoot.
thank you so much for this miracle.